Hi guys, welcome to day 5, Read Aloud, chapter 35. We left off yesterday when Bert realized that his uncle had taken control back over the mirror, and we've got Will and everyone else rushing to the cracks. So let's see what happens today. Will rode with his arms locked around the hunter's waist. He nearly bounced off a dozen times until Gunther, finally confident that he'd left the beast far behind, agreed to slow his horse, and the ride was easier once they climbed into the road. Will looked behind them. Half of him was afraid to see more of those monsters in pursuit. The other half hoped to see Andreas and the others charging his way, but the road was empty. A few minutes later he saw the crags. It was vaguely familiar, like a half-remembered dream. And now looking at its foreboding walls and the gloomy shadow of the mountain, he could see why he'd been afraid years before. "I can't breathe," Gunther croaked. "Sorry," Will said, at the first sight of the dark castle. He tightened his grip around the hunter's waist. Without realizing, he loosened his hold. So remember, he still has his anxiety about this place. Apparently, though, it's not taking that much hold of him right now. So let's keep an eye on that as we move forward. "Much appreciated," Gunther said after a deep breath. "Well, I'm glad we made it, but that's it for me. I'll never hunt in that valley again, even if Lord Charmaine flogs me." And they trotted to the gate, where a pair of sultry guards blocked their path. Will leaned out from behind Gunther so the two could see him. "That's the Baron's boy," one said to the other. "Master Bert, what were you doing out there?" Ah, so they think he's Bert, guys. Will dismounted. "I'm not Bert. I'm his brother, Will. Listen, we were attacked on the cliff road. There were men with me who may be hurt." A deep voice called down from the wall above the gate. "You there, is that the Baron's other son?" The guard looked up. "Yes, it is, Brokoff," one called. "Good," Brokoff said. He leaned out with a keen stare fixed on Will. "Keep him right there. Lord Charmaine said he'd be coming." Will looked up and saw the big, deep-voiced man vanish from sight. He heard boots on the stairs on the other side of the wall. This was strange. How could Uncle Hugh be expecting me? Sure, he'd been invited to come, but no courier was sent ahead to announce their arrival. There was no way to know he was coming. Unless... Did any of our party get here before me? Has the knight Andreas been here? Haven't seen anybody but you, said one of the guards. The two of them came toward Will and stood on the other side. Then how did Lord Charmaine know I was coming? Will was getting an unsettling feeling. The hairs on his arm tingled. So he's starting to get a sense that something is not right. Brokoff stepped through the gate. Will had the urge to turn and run. Something was very wrong, but before he could make up his mind, a powerful hand clamped onto his shoulder. "Come with me," Brokoff rumbled, pulling Will through the gate and into the courtyard. Will tried to push the hand away. "What are you doing? You don't need to drag me." "I was told to bring you directly to Lord Charmaine," Brockley said, squeezing even tighter. "You can't drag me. I'm the Baron's son. Let go of me," Will said, his voice rising. He pried at the fingers but couldn't even bend one little one back. The door to the keep was ahead, a black rectangle that looked like an open grave standing on end. Will was sure that if he went into that dark space, he would never come out. He punched at the hand that held him and twisted his body, trying to break free. Brokoff pushed Will in front of him, grabbing both shoulders from behind. The black space came closer. "Stop!" Will cried. And then a figure stepped through the doorway and into the light. "Let him go now," Brokoff said. "Let him go now," Brokoff said Aunt Aileen. Will stared at her. His heart was pounding, his breath wheezing. He couldn't read her expression. She smiled serenely at the man who had him in an iron grip. Brokoff's thick jaw slid from side to side. "I was told to bring the boy straight to Lord Charmaine and make sure he didn't Yes, and now my husband wishes me to take him, she said. Surely you won't defy his orders. You know how he feels about disobedience. There was an edge to her voice, a hint of thorns among the flowers. Brokoff cleared his throat. The fingers loosened a bit on Will's shoulder. Aunt Elaine smiled at Will. Nephew, you'll come with me to see your uncle, won't you? She held out her hand. Will caught something at her expression. A subtle widening of eyes, a lift of the brow, a flare of her nostrils. Of course, Aunt Elaine, he said. Brokoff's grip weakened and Will shrugged out of it and took her hand. What are you thinking about Aunt Elaine? Are you thinking that she's going to bring him to Uncle Charmaine, or are you thinking that she's going to try to save him? We'll see. And hold on, I have to take Eddie out. Hold on 1 second.